Hello there. Welcome back to Tauri Speedrun. We are about to hopefully finish this up over the course of this session. We have about half a season remaining, but the goal is to get that finished within this episode, as we are getting very close to the end here. Now, currently, last season we did win the Drivers' Championship. This year we have a little bit of a fight here between Sano and Contreras. If it remains close as it is, we're going to be focusing on that towards the end of this season. But at the halfway point here, just 3 points separating the two drivers. And we have a good 200-point lead here on Red Bull. So it looks like we have basically the season already a little bit in hand. So we're going to try, as I said, to just quickly finish up this save. It's taking me a little bit longer than I wanted to get here. Been a bit sick. My throat has been a bit sore. You can probably hear it. It just doesn't sound too well just now either. But it is what it is. So we'll just have to deal with that. Apologies if my voice sounds bad. But yeah, we had a crash, which destroyed some parts here. But with 25 days going into Dutch Grand Prix, I don't think it's going to be much of a problem. We also have new parts in the making here. So I think we'll be fine. For now, though, we'll catch up on broken parts and prepare ourselves for the Dutch Grand Prix. We've ticked over the month, and with that, our driver's performance has been, well, upgraded. Cornering, control, and defending for Contreras, and for Sano, control, smoothness, adaptability, and accuracy. So, pretty much something we can be happy with, and a couple of points of adaptability, of course, for Taylor as well. So, yeah, game still loves giving me the adaptability more so than anything else. Now, this isn't really accurate because the car 1 is still lacking a lot of parts, but we do have a fairly good car still, and our pick with training here. We're going to set it up pretty quickly, but yeah, again, not representative for the current state of the game, so we'll just speed along. We just finished the design of the 6th version here of the suspension, and it's going to be the final version here because we have basically reached the end of well, usable gains. You can kind of see it here. Gains doesn't really change too much, and even if we were to do another iteration of this, it would be like 0.001 across the board. So it's going to be very minor gains no matter what we do. So we're just going to go ahead here, get 4 of these manufactured, and as you can see, a cost cap is a bit of a concern. Remember, we still have half a season remaining. Well, not half, 10 races or so. But even then, we do kind of have a cost cap concern here. So once these designs are done, we're only going to be using CFD time. 2 days here, we're going to be getting our side pods and then the rear wing before the Dutch GP. So we're going to go ahead and speed along and see what they have to offer. Now, the side pods, SP8 here, are ones that I believe we did use CFD time on. But these are definitely focused on cooling more so than anything else. So I'm going to go ahead here and check what we can gain if we were to make another version. Maybe even reach double digits for side pod designs this year. That would be funny. But yeah, 9, 11, 13, 20. See, drag reduction. Let's turn down the cooling. Turn down front. Boost the middle. So yeah, that's basically it in terms of what we can expect. 9, 11, 14, 5. We get 20% top speed here. We could try and maximize engine cooling to help out a little bit with the low cooling that we have. But again, that's mainly because this car is still lacking the chassis. So it's not actually representative of the cooling that we actually do have on the car. But we might as well just fix that so we can actually get a better picture. We should have a couple of extra chassis now. And if we take a look then at the car analysis, we're up to 72%. So not really too big of a deal. I think what we're going to do here is we're not going to design any more side pods. There's just no point. The gains are very small, even I think with CFD. So we're going to go ahead and manufacture this one, and it's going to be the final edition side pod for us. And again, financially, we are in kind of a strained position at the moment that we do need to respect a little bit. So probably just going to do one more design project this year, which is going to be with CFD time in 22 days. And we'll have to see exactly where we want to invest that CFD time. Rear wing here looks decent. Not any massive gains or anything like that, but still decent enough. So we probably are going to start manufacturing them when we have time. And like so, it would cost us another $1 million. But yeah, We'll have to see exactly where we invest, as I said, that safety time. Might be that we don't use it at all, because as I said, I think our car is reaching the ceiling in a pretty significant manner, so to speak. But with that said, let's see what we have available to us here in the warehouse. Do we have any new suspensions? We do for one car if we want to. But now, though, I think we're going to keep them on the same spec to keep things somewhat fair. And then we'll upgrade both at the same time later on. I think that's a alright way of doing it. And right now, all the cars have the same spec of everything. A chassis we've made. The only thing maybe that we want to invest into, CFD time, might be front wing. But we'll have to see exactly where we are with everything once we get a little bit further. Maybe we invest a little bit more in the underfloor. I don't know. We'll see. But for now, let's head into the first race of this session, the Dutch Grand Prix. And before that, let's just take a quick look at the car analysis, just give you a little bit of an update. We're first in everything but cooling, 30 air tolerance, and if we compare ourselves to Red Bull, who is our closest rivals, we have a lot of top speed on them. We have a lot of acceleration, a lot of DRS, a lot of low speed. Like everything here, we are absolutely crushing them in. So it's looking very, very promising this season. And as I said, we're going to speed through this because we are going to be crushing them. So I'll have to see how I summarize races. But for now, let's go to the Dutch Grand Prix, and I'll worry about that later. So Sandwood has been going reasonably well, but we now do have a red flag. Both of our cars are safe. Verstappen seems to be safe. Norris is apparently the one that has had a bit of an incident here. So Norris and Bottas. Shame that we didn't get to see more of the build-up there, because it looks like Norris just hit the back of Bottas in kind of a weird manner. Now, this is going to be bad because I'm pretty sure that we are going to have a dry track when we restart. I clicked a little bit too quickly there, so I didn't actually get to see. This is the current status. So we're going to go soft tire. And we'll see now what this switches to, because if I remember correctly earlier, it was supposed to be drying out, and it did in fact dry out. So that was my bad, I clicked a little bit too quick. But yeah, we now have 10 laps, 11 laps, we'll have to see here. 11 laps to decide this, and as you can see, Verstappen did jump us over the rainy period, because the rainy period here was just barely below 1 millimeter, which meant that the adaptability of Sano did her dirty, and she lost out as a result. But yeah, with just a few laps remaining here, going full attack, going full deploy, shouldn't be an issue. But we'll of course check like we usually do. There's no reason for us to completely burn our tires. And honestly, with that said, we'll go full attack for the first lap, then we'll manage from there on out. I think that'll be fine. And already here, pretty bad start there from Contreras. A good jump from Verstappen. Leaves, allows him to jump up into first. Also allows Stroll to be a danger to Sano. But I think we'll still be okay here with this decent, as I mentioned, start. But we do need to manage tires, particularly for Contreras. She's used about 6-7% almost on just the first lap. So if we run her full attack, she's not going to make it till the end. That's just how simple it is. She might actually have a puncture by the end of this if we run full attack. So we're just going to aim for sticking with Verstappen. And once we actually do get the DRS here, I think that is going to allow us to go a little bit more aggressive with strategic options, if you will. But yeah, Verstappen should also slow down a little bit towards the end here. If we can just stay with him while we manage our tires, I'll take that as a win for us. That is what we'll try, and we'll see if we can get him by the end of this. And we have even more drama with another red flag here at Sandboard. And Verstappen, ourselves, we're doing fine. But this does throw another monkey wrench into the plans here. So it looks like Tsunoda was the one that was out. Touches the Haas, loses it into the corner, slams it to the wall. Maybe not a red flag, but I guess it's fine. Shouldn't be an issue. But luckily for us, we've actually saved enough soft tires so that we still have one fresh one available. And I'm pretty sure that Verstappen does not, so we should be able to jump him off the line. And with just how little time there's left in this race, going full attack should be viable. So Let's see what we can do. Here we go once more. Indeed. And we're just going to go full attack here. It's 3 laps. We should be able to make something happen. And a little bit of a slow start there from Contreras. Better start from Sano. And she's actually going to jump up into 2nd place here. At least temporarily going into that corner. But yeah, we do have a little bit of a problem, if you will, with the reactions and those starts. But we retain 2nd and 3rd. We are on Verstappen's tail. And I think we might actually try and do an overtake immediately here. On the first straight, maybe. But we are actually going to get DRS before the end of this race, so at least one of our cars will be able to overtake. But Verstappen has been put in a pretty good position. But as you can see, 72% one soft versus fresh ones. That's not going to be a fair fight. We also do have a huge car advantage. The only thing we really have is a driver disadvantage in terms of stats. But even that shouldn't be a big deal here, as DRS will now open on this next lap. And with that, overtakes should be viable. So for Sano here, confidence is high. We can take this lap as kind of a slower one. And if we don't get overtakes done here, we're going to turn up the risk. But looking at how close we're running and the fact that we're going to be getting into DRS really, really soon, I don't think overtaking is going to be a big deal. We have a top speed advantage. We have a DRS advantage. But with the last lap here now looming on the horizon, we're going to turn the aggression up a little bit. And we don't actually have energy here to do an attack just yet. But I think both of them might sail past here. Nope. So Contreras too, going to give him the order here to go full attack. And we need Sano here to really just pull away as much as possible. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to happen. If we had another lap, then maybe. Let's see if Verstappen. Is he going to open that rear wing? Nope. Sano pulled it off. She pulled enough of a gap here that actually became possible. And Contreras is getting the overtake done. Just about. So, heartbreak for Verstappen. Good one for us. Again, apologies for my coughing. Been sick for the last couple of weeks, really. So, I'm a little bit better, but at the same time, there's going to be a few coughs here and there. Hope you can forgive me. Yeah, a good start to the session. 1-2. Verstappen does 3rd. We have Stroll in 4th, and then Behrman in 5th. So, yeah, a good start to everything here, really, I'd say. With that, Sano now has 10 points instead of just the 3 she had to begin with. And, yeah, we'll see how that rivalry builds up over the course of the last 9 races here after this one. The Monster GP has not been kind on Contreras. We've had a lockoff fairly early, and then we had another incident with Norris where we lost out heavily. And we are going to have to pit here fairly early compared to Sano, who's going for more of a one-stopper, as we are once again expecting rain. Currently, it's actually moving kind of away from us, which could be bad for Sano, because we don't really have the tires to go all the way, but we are running in front, so honestly, it's not really a big deal. For Contreras, however, it's going to be a little bit more of a big deal, because degradation is going to be high, but yeah. Lockup, the incident with Norris has put her really, really just out of contention, and we'll have to try and make the best out of a terrible situation. So the rain has moved closer and closer to us, and it's actually starting now lap 31 instead of around lap 40, and that's going to be a bit problematic here. So we're going to have to make a decision. Do we not do Intis here? Looks like Intis is just going to be a couple of laps by the looks of it. So I think basically lap 35 is when we skip directly onto the wet tires. I think that's going to be our best bet here. And for Contreras, that means push and get ahead of as many cars as possible before that moment. That's all we can really hope for. Now, Sano has lower adaptability, and this is actually one of the cases where adaptability would be kind of key, because we're running wrong tire for the occasion, and she's going to be quite a lot slower than Verstappen as a result. So this could be a pretty bad race weekend for us altogether, but we'll try and make the best of it. We're probably going to do, as mentioned, 2 more laps before we pit, and as long as we have DRS, I don't think Verstappen is going to be leaving Sano, no matter how bad the adaptability issues are. But this could be a very interesting race just from that perspective, and Contreras is going to have to try and push and make up as many positions as she can before we do pit, because that's when things are going to change drastically. And wets should be a thing here within the next 4 or 5 laps tops, so we could gamble on getting Contreras in a little bit early here. As you can see, Magnussen is actually jumping in, and I think we are going to do that. Either we gamble one way or the other. It's not going to matter much for Contreras, so let's try and get her in. We're going to go for the wets immediately, and I think that's just going to have to be how we do things, because as you can see, 4 minutes, pouring rain. We could probably do 1 more lap before we do so, but it is going to go into Inters right now, so might as well just play it a little bit safe here, get the car in, and we'll do the same in Fasano now this following lap. Now, as you can see also, as I mentioned, the difference in adaptability here is really affecting Sano right now. Lost 4 seconds to Verstappen. So there is a case for it, but as I said, it's very situationally useful. So it's not something that I would really focus on, having a driver that excels at it. There's no need for that. But yeah, we are going to be pitting both drivers this lap. Well, last lap for Contreras' sake. And we're also going to have to try and probably run these tires on light, because they're going to get really hot. Let's face it, if you run a wet tire on something that isn't wet, they're going to just straight up combust, and that's kind of bad. Contreras has us 1 position so far. The question is just how many positions can we gain? That's going to be the big one. And Verstappen is pitting. Show is pitting. We lost about 6 seconds to him. That's not great. But we should retain second place here, I think, and we will. The question is, as mentioned, where does Contreras come out? Ocon needs to pit. Porsche needs to pit. Albon needs to pit. So we jump at least 1 car by pitting early. But as you can see, we're already overheating these tires extremely. 95 degrees is maximum. They're running 100 degrees. We're going to have to just run conserve to save as much possible. And then try and get overtaking done once we get to the proper rainy period, which is going to be very soon here, within a couple of laps, and then we're going to have to do Inter for the last 6-7 laps. Maybe we can make something happen then. So we have gotten to the wet period here, and Contreras doing well. Has gotten the car behind, has gotten Norris, both in 1 lap, so there's still chances of points here. We'll just have to see how many. And Sano there with a bit of a lockup. Looks like she's fine though. Just going to lose a bit of time, unfortunately. But it does kind of tell us what kind of race we've had. Not the best here.
The car locks up. Not surprising, I suppose.
Yeah, same lockup as we had with Contreras earlier, basically. But it is a-okay. We are pushing. The tires can handle it in terms of heat. And as I've said here, I think it should be fine to just go for this until the end. And again, I apologize for the coughing. I'll try and get most of it edited out. But I'd like to get a video out sometime this weekend, hopefully. Or Friday. I think it's going to be the hope. So Contreras here. Ready for another push. We're going to keep on doing this. Recharge, catch up the back of the cars in front. And then launch an attack. And with the superior car that we have and energy, it shouldn't be too challenging here to get the overtakes done. And we have actually reached peak confidence, so if we do get stuck, we'll just turn off the confidence level. We are getting closer to the end here, with Sano currently still chasing Verstappen. There is a concern though in terms of confidence, it's just a very high. We have 2 laps to go after this one, and as you can see here, it's going to end on the wet. We're not getting that into the final stint that we were hoping for. And for Contreras here, we're going to have her push as well now at the end. Fuel is a bit of a concern to manage, but we've been trying a couple of overtakes, but each time Russell and Gasly has just been running side by side, making it very difficult. But it looks like this time around, we're actually going to get it done for Contreras. Just maybe get the Ferrari and potentially a Gasly as well on the straight, which would be good. Getting a couple extra points there. As we do kind of face inside the Alpine a little bit, but it's a good effort. Sano here, getting her attack done on Verstappen, at least trying. Let's see if we can complete it. And we can, so that is side by side still. But Sano ultimately ahead, gets the overtake done lap before last. And we'll see if Contreras can get Sargent for an extra point. But yeah, so far things are looking very, very good here. Unfortunately with Contreras, that she had that incident, made it kind of hard to really do anything. But at the very least here, we are getting a good result from Sano. So I think it's fine. Contreras starts final lap now, so still has plenty of time to get that overtake done. It's trying to get it done into that first corner. And by second corner, it is completed, more or less. Question then becomes, can we hunt down Behrman and De Vries? Do we have any chance of maybe launching an attack on them? I doubt it. We just don't have enough time. But we're definitely going to try. Half a tenth now behind. Within DRS range, if we had DRS, unfortunately we don't. And the Williams here might score a very, very interesting third place. But yeah, Contreras doesn't have energy, has fuel, but the Hasses are just protecting each other kind of. And I think that is unfortunately going to be the best that we could do back up into 8th place. So, well, it's not a great result. It is a decent enough recovery. If it wasn't for the wet weather, I'm pretty sure we would have done a lot better. She's the only one who did 2 pit stops with the exception of Ocon. So you can kind of see that we maybe should have performed better than we did. But it is a driver error. They happen. Can't really do anything about them. Sano wins. Contreras 8th with just 5 points. Extends the gap now to 30 points between our drivers, or almost 30 points. That is pretty rough. Constructors then, Williams here scored a decent chunk of points here, pushing themselves ahead of Alpine. And we still have a very healthy lead on the Red Bulls, so I don't think we can be too upset here. Norris, who we had that little bit of an incident with, finished 14th. Couldn't actually improve from where he started. So all in all, we'll take this. It's a good race for us. Another month here has ticked over, and with that, we get a driver update. So Contreras improves control, adaptability, and accuracy, and Sano improves control, smoothness, adaptability, and accuracy. So you can kind of see the difference here in adaptability between the two drivers. Again, is when you're on the wrong tire for the occasion. Contreras does very well under those circumstances. Sano does not. But again, it's not a lot of it. It's a weakness for sure, but it's not a big weakness. There's so little of the racing year, racing month, racing season, if you will, where that is going to make a huge difference. Let's be honest. There isn't a lot of wet races to begin with, and most wet races just switch very quickly within just a couple of laps. So having a high adaptability is, of course, beneficial, but it's not anything that I would say is mission critical, if you will. So that is my personal opinion. We'll be updating pit crew as we go. But yeah, the adaptability stat it can be incredibly useful to get the jump in the pits if you have drivers that are equal. But in our case here, if we have to choose between adaptability or any of these other stats, we'd of course choose the lowest adaptability possible. But yeah, it's going well so far. Let's see how we do in Singapore. The car has, for the most part, been upgraded right now. We have the suspensions installed. We are going to most likely just make this new underfloor. It's not anything amazing. It's just a little bit extra speed. So, again, we'll have to see exactly what we do here in terms of our CFD time. Maybe front wing. I don't know. We'll see. We'll have a look at it once we get that time, and then we can think. But yeah, if we take a look at our current attributes, we're first in everything but brake cooling and dirty air tolerance. And I'd be very happy with that. We're almost 2 kph quicker than Red Bull. So, car's looking very, very good. Nothing really here to complain about at all. Let's see how we do at Singapore. Alright, we have received our new ATR period 4 days ago, but due to a design set of concern, as you can see, we had to shut it down for 6 days. We couldn't actually get started with anything before today, so it didn't really matter. And that is exactly what we are going to do. Now, we're just going to take a quick look at the car here and the signs available. Apparently we can't do it today. We're going to have to do it, I think, then after Singapore. That's a bit unfortunate. But we'll take a look at it then, and generally what I'm seeing here is that we're getting close to 85 to 90% in the stats that we care about in terms of expertise, and that's very close to ceiling, which means that no matter what we do here, we're not really going to be seeing any huge gains, but I'll go a little bit more in depth with it after the race in Singapore. And we're once again getting rain, so basically the game telling me that maybe, just maybe, you should invest a little bit more in adaptability and your weather center, as we now had 3 somewhat rainy races in a row. Alright, for Singapore, we're getting the probably worst weather forecast I've ever seen in my life. We're going to have potentially inters or wets, we don't know yet, we'll have to see for a period here as we're getting heavy rain. Then we'll have a small dip into inter territory, then we're going to go full wets, then we're going to go dry at the end. So that's going to be a fairly interesting setup here. Lap 20 is what we need to make it to at the very minimum. So I think the easiest way for us to do that is just to start on the medium tire here. Contreras is actually going to struggle, I think, to get to the lap 20 here on the medium. We might need to go hard, but I don't really want to do that, so we'll have to see what we do. But I think, honestly, just starting on the medium and run them light, because we are starting 1-2. So running the medium on light is going to be okay. What I think is going to happen is that everyone else is going to run hard tires, potentially. So even if we run them light, it should be fine. Again, just need to make it to lap 20 to 25. In theory, so I think we'll be fine with this, and if we see the weather move really, really far to the right, we'll go ahead and just push and do, say, a soft stint. Is this a amazing strategy? No. Should I probably upgrade the weather center at this point so I don't get the caught blindside of this? Probably, but it's not as fun, let's be honest. I complained about this a lot in F1, the previous iteration of the game, but let's be fair there. It said you had 100% knowledge of the weather, and then you had basically, or you have now in this game with 60%, so yeah. Although I complain a lot, it's more so just to get it out there, get the frustration out in case I make a mistake. It's not actually a critique of the game or anything like that. But yeah, this is what we're going to do. Light push here on the mediums. We'll have to see how the start goes. The Red Bulls had a pretty miserable qualifying.
We're just moments away from the
As you can see, one there and the other there. So, but yeah, this is kind of what I was afraid of. I see a lot of medium tires, and apparently we've started with less fuel. What incarnation is going on here? This has to be wrong because she has more fuel than Sano, but yeah, it's the smoothness basically. Sorry about that. It did throw me off. Let's get the orders in here and then get started. But yeah, Piastri did jump Sano, unfortunately, but that is usually how it goes actually at the start of races because we don't have the best. We aren't the best at jumping off the line. Norris down to 12th. That's a terrible start for him, I believe. But yeah, Sargent and Tsunoda are the only ones who have elected to not run a hard tire. So we'll see how this looks. We are preparing for, again, the weather around lap 20 to 25. Let's see what we end up doing. The weather is in fact moving away from us, and that is putting us in a bit of a problematic, I guess you could say, situation here. As Sano will have no problem making it until lap 30, but Contreras, at the rate that she's degrading, is probably going to end up pitting by lap 25. So she'll survive just about, but it's not going to be great. It's not going to be pretty or anything like that. We could pit, but if we were to pit now, we'd come out in basically 13th. We'd come out around when Norris is. So, well, it is going to pain me. I think the best bet here for Contreras, who actually has a 5-second lead out front, is just turn it down to conserve. We're going to be conserving as much of the tires as we can. We're going to be running, you know, colder tires as a result. But I don't think we have a choice here. We need to do it in order to make sure that we can actually make it until the rainy period, because pitting an extra time around this this place is not only detrimental, it's race ending. So we're going to try and avoid that as best as we can. Probably should have started her on the hard tire just to be on the safe side. But we're still running 1-2. Piastri and Verstappen has been able to keep up. Show has held up a lot of the cars further back there. As you can see, they're good 20 seconds behind, although they are gaining slightly now. But we'll see if we can hold out until the rain here with Contreras by running a little bit more of a conservative strategy. And even if Sano catches up, it's not going to be a big deal. Sano and company has basically caught up to Contreras at this point, but I would say that was still a good idea to run her as we did. As you can see, rain is still estimated to be a good 3 minutes away, which is basically 2 laps. So by lap 29 is when the rain starts, and by lap 30 is probably when we can start pitting. So as you can imagine, this did throw a bit of a wrench in the plans, but it's perfectly fine. For Sano here, I think we're going to have to try and use her as kind of the pulley of the two. And hopefully we can have Contreras keep up even while running conservative and create a little bit of a gap to both Piastri and also Verstappen. That's going to be the goal here, hopefully. I think it's not going to work out too well though, we'll have to see. But rain is arriving. And we're going to have to make a choice on, do we pit now on this lap or do we pit on the next one? As we get a safety car. Tsunoda.
Safety car. Stay positive.
The question that I have here is how wet is it gonna get? What has Lawson put on his tires? He's put on Inters. This does look like an Inters graph, that's the thing. Inters until lap 40. I think we're gonna mimic what he does. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to double stack it because it is a safety car. So that's gonna allow both Piastri and Verstappen to jump Contreras. But with a safety car, there's no reason not to, pit early.
There's been a crash.
So that's a perfectly timed safety car to create a little bit of problems for us, unfortunately. And no replay apparently either. And I'm going to be very curious here. What does Verstappen put on? That looks like Inters. And unsurprisingly, we do come out in first and fourth. So yeah, Inters does seem to be the best choice here. It's what everyone has been going for. I was considering wets, but looking at the line, probably for the best here that we went ahead with the Inters until at least lap 40, I think. Safety car is ending here, and we're going to go full attack here with the entire stint. No reason to hold anything back. Hopefully we can get a cheap overtake here on Verstappen. That would be good. But yeah, it's becoming less and less weather here until lap 40. So I think this is the best bet that we can do, and once we actually do get to the end here, we're probably just going to jump directly onto the dry tires, I think. We'll have to see. But we are going to go with a wet stint at one point for sure, as we are now restarting, and we will run this entire stint on full attack. It's just 8 laps. Let's see if Contreras can get Verstappen and Piastri, and if Sano can extend the lead a little bit to make this second pit stop a little bit less painful.
Virtual safety car. Virtual safety car.
Evan has crashed out, and with that we have now a virtual safety car.
But oh, they can't avoid making contact.
That's a bit unfortunate. Probably would have had a better time if you had caught the McLaren. Honestly how terrible that sounds. That's probably the facts. So Contreras is looking good. We have been trying to recharge the battery. We have been going a little bit lighter on the tires to get them a little bit better for overtaking. As we have gotten Verstappen, we're now trying to get Piastri. And unfortunately, this virtual safety car came out in the middle of that process. So hopefully we'll be able to get it done on restart. That's going to be the hope here. And we might need to jump into the pits in just a couple of laps time. So I'm very, very curious exactly how this is going to translate. How long is this virtual safety car going to be? And it's actually ending now. So no chance that we could actually take advantage of it to pit for wet tires. It's just not going to work. There's so little water on track that we'd lose time if we, say, pit it early for them. So no reason to do that. And as mentioned now for Contreras, tires, fuel, energy, everything is set up here to try and get this overtake done. And I don't want to turn up the confidence here. It's fairly low to begin with. No need for us to take any risks in creating more incidents. Although, to be fair, a real-world driver might be desperate to get this overtake done so they have any chance of keeping up with Sano in the championship. Let's be perfectly honest. But at the same time, I'm going to be the calmer voice here, saying that if they crash, which is very likely, they get no points and are definitely out. So let's try and not have that happen. But yeah, Piastri doing well here on the defense. Let's see what we can do in terms of overtaking. But 2 minutes now until the full rain arrives, which means that by the end of this lap, or rather the next lap here, we are probably going to be jumping into the pits. So I think the strategy here for Contreras changes to jump Piastri in the pits rather than jump Piastri on track. And I think that is honestly the best bet that we are going to have available to us here. 30 seconds tops until we get more rain. And let's see how quickly it goes up. Does it go quick enough that we do pit on the first one? That is fairly quick. But 30-second pit stop. I think for Contreras, we have enough of a gap to Verstappen that pit to overtake is viable here. The question is just how... The thing is, I don't think it's going up fast enough. That's the thing. It's going to go fairly fast, but still just 2 millimeters. So I think we stay out one more lap. We try and see what we can do here. And we're going to be pitting onto the wet tire after this one. And we'll do the same here for Sano. So Contreras here, basically be coming out of pits around now. Yeah, I think the correct choice here was to stay out for one more lap. Hopefully, we can pray that Piastri does the same. But we'll have to see here. As we do now pit Sano. Piastri stays out for one more lap, which should benefit us unless we get stuck in traffic. Sano should come out in a good window. Contreras too comes out in a decent enough window, so it should be fine. Can probably have done one more lap before we pitted, I'll be honest, but with us running full attack on these fresh wets, I still think that it's the correct choice. The thing though is Contreras is going to be the judge of that. That is the wrong car. The other one doesn't actually have energy. Piastri actually stays out for one more lap. Is it not going to go full wets? Have I made a bit of a silly Billy error? No, it should go full wets. Unless we are really, really... Like, if our meteorologists, the weather people, if you will, are miscalculated to that degree, then I'm going to fire them myself. I'll be perfectly honest here. Contreras is getting stuck in traffic, however, and that is slowing us down. But Piastri and Verstappen are staying out, so maybe, just maybe, we made a bit of a silly Billy mistake here. That the wet is little enough here that it's not going to matter much. Because if it's going to go up here, then it should matter, but if it's going to stay just around 4, then yeah, definitely could be a bit of a silly mistake to have made. We'll see. They're also going to be getting some advantage back once they actually go, once it actually goes back the other way. So it's going to be curious. We'll see. Sano should be fine though. Should be able to overtake it, create a little bit of a gap. Because now, right now we are getting a little bit more, well, wet on the track, and that should make overtaking a little bit more viable, as Ocon is just being a little bit annoying. But yeah, Sano's made her way through both of them, which you should, basically at this stage. Usually the cars just get out of the way. But Contreras, we might have ruined the race a little bit for you. We'll have to see how it looks once we go back to dry tires. Contreras is currently attacking. Just got Verstappen. It's going to get Piastri there as well. Let's see where we stand. It's Verstappen there with the switch to the inside. And then gets Piastri with just the better grip due to the tires. And you can already see that we are gaining a fairly sizable amount of time here, with Sano already having about a pit stop on Verstappen. Remember, we had about 10 seconds before we pitted the first time. And the weather is going up, but we have kind of reached the top here now. And it looks like we are actually going to be ending on the Inters. So, a little bit of a miscalculation from us and our weather people. They overestimated how much weather was going to arrive. They overestimated how much water was actually going to end up on track. And I think the only thing that we can do here is once we get back to 4 millimeters or thereabouts, we send Contreras in to pit. And I do think that by the time we get there, however, Contreras might actually have a full pit stop on, in this case, Stroll and Piastri. as well as Leclerc. Did Stroll go for wet tyres? He did, but he pitted fairly late. So yeah, we have the gap in now to pit Piastri at least. So looks like the 1-2 is somewhat safe, although I was worried for a while. Magnussen has got himself a bit of a penalty here, as is tradition this year, as Sano now starts probably the last lap on the wet tyres. We are going to be pitting here, and currently Stroll is the only real potential problem. The main concern that I have is just how much grip there's going to be towards the end of this. I don't think it's going to be enough grip that pitting onto the right tyre is going to make a difference. So we're going to get both cars in this lap, and we're just going to push the Inters 2 to the end here. And Stroll could come out ahead of Contreras, 25 seconds versus 27. But Sano should be perfectly safe, and unless we have a huge pit stop error for Contreras, getting Stroll by the end of this shouldn't actually be a big deal either. So I have no real concerns at this moment. I think we'll be fine. We'll just have to wait and see though. As Sano exits the pits with a clean stop, and so does Contreras, and actually does beat Stroll out. So at this point, we are clear. And since Stroll is on the wrong tyre, since Leclerc's on the wrong tyre, hopefully they can hold off the attacking horde coming from behind. But yeah, Piastri and Verstappen, the only one that kind of braved it out there on the Inters. We'll have to see if they reclaim 3rd and 4th place. So currently the rain has stopped. Everyone has pitted back onto Inter tyres. We have Piastri and Verstappen in 3rd. Stroll in 5th, however, so with fresher tyres, maybe he can get them. But with just 3 laps to go here, we have tuned down our cars. We have tuned down fuel. No need taking a risk. There's 15 seconds between our drivers. I don't see Contreras getting a chance to attack here. But if we really want to be brave, what we could do here is have Contreras pit and go for fastest lap, but we'd have to pit her now. And as you can see here, the water level isn't going to get low enough. That snatching fastest lap from Sargent is going to be viable. So we're just going to allow the race here to run its course. 1-2, we can be very, very happy with. Looked pretty bad there at moments. I was worried when Verstappen and Piastri refused to go to wet tyres, but we did end up winning with a 1-2, which is great. We didn't get fastest lap, bit unfortunate, but let's be honest, that's not a big deal. But yeah, a fairly interesting wet race for me at least. Hope you enjoyed it too.
That was a
But with that now, we have Sano first, Contreras second. In the Constructors, we have almost, well, we're getting close to 300-point advantage over Red Bull, as Martin scoring a good bunch of points here. And drivers-wise, it's starting to look more and more like Sano is going to take the crown for this year. So, yeah, we'll have to see what we can do with that. But for now, we are going to allow ourselves to just rest. And we're going to take a quick look now at what I mentioned earlier, which was the reason why I don't think there's any real benefit to be gained from investing any more into design at this moment. So let me just go over that fairly quick. So currently in car parts development here, if we take a look at the design, let's say we take the chassis here and we compare it to the current chassis, 90, well 88, 89%. We could squeeze out a little bit more cooling if we tried. But the thing here is that we are reaching such high levels of expertise that getting anything more out of the chassis in this case, for instance, is going to be incredible rough. As you can see here, we can't really squeeze out anything more, interestingly enough. So yeah, we have kind of reached the peak there at around 90%. Now, the reason why we're losing stats here, I would assume, is because we have facilities that have degraded. So if we want to, yeah, we have the car parts test center that we need to refurbish. It loses us some cooling, drag reduction, and down, well, drag reduction there mainly, and some engine cooling for the chassis. So we probably need to refurbish this before we design anything. CFD here doesn't really seem to have any effect. We might as well just refurbish those as well, because we have the money for it. But yeah. The building set does actually have an effect on your car, and I wish I could just refurbish this because it's going to break down very soon. And as I mentioned here, once you start reaching 90%, there's not really much to be gained, if anything. And if we take a look at the front wing here, for instance, compared to the one that we currently have on the car, that's just an example, this is probably what we'd go ahead with. And we could do this, which would be a very slight improvement. But the way that we calculate, say, downforce for low speed, this is around 80%, this is around 78%, 69%, 80%, 85%. The more stats you have, the harder it is to hit that 90% as well. So, while this could be, in theory, a sizable upgrade, use CFD time to help it, would actually be a terrible idea. You could probably also invest into, say, a high-speed front wing, which you can see here, because it is at just 70%. We'd gain 0.020, we'd lose a little bit on the others, but it'd technically be worth it, honestly, to go for a wing like this, and we could also lose a little bit extra weight to make it even better. So, the front wing is, as I said, probably the only thing that we need to invest in if we want to have a little bit more performance. But if we take a look at the rear wing here, 87, 86, this is actually a really low number, it's just 75%, yes. Should be around 75%, 76%, 73%. So the rear wing 2 does have some potential here where we could invest into the cornering ability of it. But generally, again, it's just very, very minor gains that we would be looking at. And if we were to, say, do this, we'd be losing top speed of the stats as well. So every part has things it's good at. You can, of course, work towards maximizing the other stats. But I don't see a really, really good reason to do so at the moment. And that is kind of why we're doing what we're doing. We could do side pods, but again, very minor gains across the board. Suspension, 88%, 85, 87. Again, 85 to 90 is kind of what you're looking for. This 82% here is also pretty high. The only thing we could probably get some out of here is the medium speed. The underfloor, 87, 86%. I think this is the one that we have to basically 86%, 86%. The way that you calculate this is the high speed, you can just take the number after the point here, so 86%. For these, it goes from 3 to 5, from 5 to 7. So you basically have to take 1.72 here. You split it on 2. And then you get 86%. So, yeah. There's not really much we can do with this underfloor. It has already reached its peak. The only thing we could do is invest in airflow sensitivity, which we don't really need. So all of these designs don't really contribute anything to car currently, so there's no real reason to really upgrade. The only thing you could see there was making a front wing that's focused on high-speed cornering would actually be a beneficial gain. But the other thing that I'm concerned about right now is the cost cap. We have 14 million remaining. If we do 2 front wing designs, that would be another 3 million or thereabouts. And we are going to need a couple of new components for Contreras. So we're running very, very close to the sun here. With still a decent chunk of races remaining. We have 7 of them, including 1, 2, 3 sprints. So 10 quote-unquote races. And that's going to make life really, really rough. So while I would think it would be fun to design a new front wing, honestly, with CFD time, honestly, it would be fun. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's make a high speed focused rear wing that gets a little bit more than just 70% out of the car. Because this 479 number, again, 3 to 5, 180 out of 2 is 90%. So this is basically 89.5%. This one is closer to 87, 88. But you get the idea. Both of these are really, really high percentage wise. We could try and get some more brake cooling, some more airflow front. But genuinely here, there isn't much we can actually, as mentioned, get out of this front wing that we haven't already gotten. That's the kind of idea here. So we're going to use safety time. We're going to do this. It's going to cost us 3.2 million because we're going to have to make another one. But I think it's going to be worth it. It's going to take us 30 days, so we're not actually going to have it before Las Vegas if we do like this. Well, not even that. We're going to have it done by Las Vegas, and then we'll have it prepared by Ass Island. So again, while it would be a fun thing to do, there probably isn't much benefit to it. It's kind of what I'm getting at here. We could make this one just with CFD time without anything else, just to get that little bit extra cornering ability. But there's just no point. We have so much cornering ability here, particularly in the high-speed corners, We have 200 over Red Bull. Well, this is also probably not represented, but we have so much high-speed cornering that I don't think we need to invest anything more. I'd rather allow us to have a fight between these two if the other has an accident, rather than investing anything more in design right now. And I know that I'm talking in circles at the moment, but I'm so undecided myself that it is a bit of a problem. But I think that is what we're going to do. We are going to go ahead here and probably just start using this front wing here. Going to lose a little bit of brake cooling. But I think that's going to be just as good, honestly. And again, shame that we're wasting CFD time. But unless we have a very, very interesting end to this season, we should be fine with just finishing things up with the parts that we have. So I've decided that's what we're going to do. Sorry about the back and forth here, the mental gymnastics, if you will. But I do like to make sure that I've thought of, as far as I can see at least, every single angle before making decisions, which is probably a bit boring way to play games for most people, but it's the way that I enjoy playing the game. So with that said, let's go to Suzuka. I think we're going to do Losail, and that's probably going to be the end of this episode. And we'll do the last 5 race weekends next time. So, couldn't get all 10 done today. Too much rain, too much interesting situations happening, but honestly, that's okay. Suzuka quali, 1-2, as we've gotten used to, and a bunch of penalties here. Actually quite a bit. So in the top 10 here, 6 out of 10 cars are eating penalties, including the only Red Bull that did well, which was Lando Norris. And then we have Verstappen down in 11th. And even in the bottom 10 here, another 5 penalties. So out of a 20 car grid, 11 penalties. And that's quite a bit. That's quite a bit of punishment going around. But the game, remember that I said that, oh, we have had a lot of rain this session, so guess what? More rain. Luckily though, it seems to just be light rain towards the end, and judging by the grip levels, might not even be bad enough that we need inters. Might be that we need a little bit into here towards the end, but let's be honest, the weather forecast that we have isn't great. So what I'm thinking we do here is that we make up a strategy that kind of works around that as well as we can do. We're probably just going to do this. It's slower than any anticipated strategy for the most part, but at the same time, it gives Contreras the extra little bit of time where that she needs, and we can go aggressive, attack, you name it, towards the end. And I think we're going to do the same here for Sano, but probably keep the other 2 stints normal, or maybe even a little bit of aggressive here. We'll see. Probably going to be the medium stint that we turn up, if any, because that'll save us more time. Doesn't really save any time turning up the soft stint. So just maybe we'll do something like this for Sano. We'll have to see. Should be pretty straightforward. It's slightly quicker than what we are planning for Contreras, but then again, Contreras can probably do something similar if the degradation isn't too high. I like to be on the safe side. Now, we could take the penalty here for the ERS. I'm kind of tempted to do that because as you saw, out of 20 cars, there's 11 penalties, and us taking a penalty here is probably not the worst idea ever. And also if you consider the fact that the rain is going to come so late that if we haven't actually sorted out the, starting further back by the time we get to lap 40, then I would be kind of sad for us anyways. So we should be able to make that into a non-issue by that time. And again, we shouldn't start too far back because as mentioned, top 10, there's 6 cars with penalties behind us. So we should be starting relatively far up still. So with that said, let's go ahead and get the race started. We're going to be running light first stint here on the softs. Again, for those of you who don't know why, it's because they're at temperature. Our car is incredibly quick, so we can actually sacrifice a little bit of pace in order to just not destroy our tires immediately for our drivers that do kind of struggle a little bit with tire wear, if you will. So
We're all good to go.
there's nothing really inherently negative about doing this. We get that time back towards the end of the stint. So it looks like we lost or got pushed back to 3rd row. And we got pushed down to 6th, so nothing too major there with the penalty. We can be actually very, very happy with that. Means it should be solved fairly quick here. And we also have a good start. Contreras holds on to 6th place. Sana holds on to 1st. And genuinely here, what we do struggle with is the start. So having a good one is a good starting point. And only Verstappen is on soft tires ahead of us. Everyone else on either medium or hards. most part here. Very varied strategies among the field. But I think we'll be able to get the overtakes going the second we see the AI stop pushing. And then we'll be moving Contreras up into the podium. And hopefully a second place again. Never mind, we're not going to be moving Contreras anywhere. She has crashed. And if we take a quick look at the car, we have 2 punctures. So we slammed the wall sideways by the looks of this. The front wing is also gone. So did we lock up and hit someone? We'll have to see. ERS is my main concern, and that is the 69. Yeah, gearbox completely destroyed. Engine at minor. I think it's a good idea that we didn't start any more design projects, because I kind of did fear this, that we'd have a pretty bad crash, and this is definitely a pretty bad crash. Gearbox destroyed, 30% of the ERS gone already. We're going to need another one probably then, before the end of this year, maybe. I think we might be able to make do, we'll see. But the engine is definitely going to be an issue, and I'm very, very curious what exactly happened here. As the ERS gets disabled, we're probably going to get a safety car.
Yes, we
Looks like she crashed on her own.
What happened there? Right, we're at turn 14 here.
Got a spin, hit with the rear. With the rear more so than anything else before slamming sideways into the corner. That is incredibly unfortunate. But there's nothing much we can do with that. We are just going to keep on focusing on Sano. And see if we can get at least first after that unfortunate incident. And with that, we could also maybe see the rain move a little bit closer to ourselves. But yeah, Sano is going to need a lead before the end of this. And honestly, the fact that her adaptability has been put into so much question this season is actually amazing. Because I don't think I've seen a season so far that has had this much, you know, low water, changing conditions. So we'll see exactly how much time we end up losing towards the end of this race. But for now, we'll sit back, we'll do our planned pit stops, and we'll deal with that once we get there. So the rain has arrived, and it has arrived quite a bit earlier than anticipated. As you can see, we're at 0.75 right now. But we have 15 seconds down to Verstappen, so we're going to just keep on running for at least a couple more laps, I think, before we know exactly how much rain we're going to get. But it definitely does look like it's going to be Inter territory. So I think it's going to be fine to pit for Inters after this lap, because as you can see, we are losing quite a sizable amount of time. 4 seconds a lap right now, because we're on the wrong tire. So low adaptability, we definitely want to use Inters here. And as you can see, Behrman, Show, DeVries, Piastri, Bottas, Lawson. There's a lot of cars here that has elected to go in and get those Inters on, and I think we're going to do the same here, mostly because we don't really have much of a choice, and we'll have to see here if this rain gets any worse, better. Again, it's very close to the middle, if you will, in terms of what you can expect, and that's a bit of an issue. We come out here in 4th, we have a bunch of free air both behind and in front, and everyone that is currently behind us has also elected to pit, so I am expecting the Interset to be what is going to be run towards the end of this race. And we'll just have to see here exactly how our times, you know, compare to the cars in front. Right now we're 12.3 seconds behind Norris. Let's see if we catch up. 12.4. Norris and Porsche does pit. So Inter till the end does seem to be the correct choice here, potentially. We'll see. But yeah, it's pretty insane with the low adaptability, just how much time you lose from not pitting basically early enough. You can't really hang out with Sano. We should basically just pit her very, very soon, as soon as we start getting into threshold. So, again, if you do that, then you basically have cancelled out the adaptability issue. But when you have longer periods, like here, with the rain building up, you might be in a little bit of trouble. So, even then, I think we're fine. Sano has 7 seconds on Norris. Currently running a 34.3. Let's see what the others are running here before we make any decisions. 34.2, 31.7. That's worrisome. I would assume Norris is pushing too then, because we pitted quite a few laps earlier than him. But we'll see here. We're technically on the wrong tire until we get to 1 millimeter. Right there. So it is what it is at this point. I think we should be able to start pulling away, but at the same time, we can also run a little bit of attack here. Make sure that we don't lose that gap, and we are going to be managing the tires as much as we can, as my voice is completely giving up here. But Yeah, we're going to allow this race to run its course. I think we basically have it in the back. We'll see, though. We should be fine. We're on the final lap. Norris isn't too far behind there. You can see just 3.2 seconds. We had to turn it down to just aggressive as we were burning the tires quite heavily. And even then, Norris has been gaining. So we did do a little bit of a mistake there in burning the tires a little bit too aggressively, I do believe. But we should still be able to hold him off. It's just this these last couple of corners here. So the win should be in the bag, I would think. And Sano does in fact cross there. Does win. But the main concern that we have here is actually, you know, Contreras' damage after that crash. And also the damage done to my voice, apparently. But we will take a very, very quick look right now. So we win. The Red Bull second and third, trying to mount a bit of a comeback as they also grab fastest lap. And if we take a look at the Drivers' Championship then, Sano is healthily in the lead, let's just put it like that now. But the Red Bulls did have one weekend where they caught up a little bit, caught up by 8 points. But let's be honest, they are going to need double DNFs, I think, for them to stand any chance. That's just 6 race weekends remaining. 3 of them sprint weekends, to be fair. But at the same time, that shouldn't be much of an issue, honestly. Now, as I said, the main concern that I have is going to be Sano's car. Sorry, Contreras' car. Powertrain-wise, that was the last engine, which means that we either drive a damaged engine or buy a new one. The ERS was fresh, which means that hopefully we can make it last till the end. But gearboxes are a concern. We're going to need at least one new one, I think, before the end of the season. So at least 6 million here for engine and gearbox. And of course, we're going to have to manufacture new pieces here. New chassis, that's 500,000. What else were we missing? The front wing missing, that's fine. It's not too expensive. And we might as well just go ahead and improve to the new one. Rear wing is at risk. Suspension, again, just manufacture a new one. Another 300k. So about an extra million in part damage there from the crash, which is okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible either. It's something that we can handle. So yeah, we'll have to deal with that in the best way that we can. But as I said, I think we are going to need a new engine and a new gearbox before the end of this year for Contreras. And if we take a look at the cost cap, that's basically going to put us down to 3 million. So after that, we have 3 million left to play around with. We are potentially going to be in a little bit of a troublesome situation due to that. We're just going to have to do the best that we can to handle this situation. Now, I did say that I wanted to do Qatar as well, but as you probably heard that towards the end of the Suzuka race, my voice was giving in. It was starting to, the best way I can describe it is flatline, and it's still not good. I just drank a glass of water before I started this summary, so that has helped. But at the same time, I can feel my voice giving in already a little bit, so I think that's going to have to be the end for today's episode. But I can guarantee that we'll get all 6 of the remaining races in next time. I had a hope that we were going to have a bit of an easier time here. Excuse me. Bit of an easier time. Just get all 10 races done. But what 4 of these races have had some manner of incident, be it the rain or, you know, crashes, lockups, you know, bunch of other incidents basically. So we're going to have to end it here, but next time around we are definitely going to be finishing this series. We are getting close to the end. And I think I'm going to try and have something out for Sunday, hopefully. It's going to depend on the voice, basically. If I still sound like I'm about to, you know, perish, then maybe we'll have to delay a little bit. But I'm going to have to sit down, see what I can record for Sunday. But for now, thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed, and I do hope to see you around next time. Bye-bye.